Time to do the job. Time to do the job! Behold the jobber of jobbers. Daniel Jobber.
What's up, everybody? This is Edmonton area's own D-Job, Danimal, Daniel Jobber, self-proclaimed Duke of the Cruiserweights. Finally here with another episode of Jobbing Out with Danimal, Daniel Jobber, 205 live at WWE Cruiserweight Report, courtesy of the Edmonton Sports Podcast Network. I apologize for being so busy last week. I wasn't able to get an episode up, so this week I present to you a 2-week episode to make up for it, and to bring you up to date going into the Summerslam. In sports this week, before finally falling in a close game to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, your Edmonton Eskimos were able to start off the CFL season at 7-0, one of their best starts in franchise history. Big grass to the Eskimos on such a fine start. And you know, I happen to have some exclusive footage of quarterback Mike Riley and the Edmonton Eskimos celebrating in the locker room after their big 7th victory, and I'd like to play that for you now.
Did you ever think it would be this easy? Did you ever think we'd have such luck? Did you ever get a feeling things were looking good? Did you ever get the feeling you're a big shot looking good? Did you ever have the gut feeling fortune's heading your way? Did you ever? Did you ever? Did you ever? What? Yeah, sure. Okay. Did you ever have a feeling you were on the roll? Did you ever get the feeling that you're finally in control? Did you ever have the feeling you're a step ahead of the rest? Did you ever have the feeling you're the guest?
Mike Riley and your Edmonton Eskimos, everybody, celebrating their 7-0 start in the locker room, and...
What's new, poopy face? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's new, poopy face? Whoa, 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 whoa. Poopy face, you're on hoodies and lots of t-shirts, baby onesies too. Poopy
What?
face,
Stop that! Where the heck did that come from? I'm not a poopy face. I'm not a poopy face. Nobody calls me poopy face. Nobody! The picture of my logo does not look like a poopy face. Time to fire my special effects guy. Anyways, now to the wrestling action. This week on Raw, leading into SummerSlam, most of the action was typical hype, getting people excited about the matches. They had a few heated encounters and matches to set up the big fatal 4-way for the Universal title, held by Brock Lesnar. And of course, they set up the Women's Championship match between Alexa Bliss and the Boss, Sasha Banks, who replaces the injured Bayley. Finally, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, formerly of the Shield, finally decide to reunite to take on the Raw Tag Team Champions Sheamus and Cesaro. However, one huge change has come to Raw, and Raw will never be the same. From now on, instead of Enzo and Big Cass, we have Enzo and Big Show. Are you as amazed by the huge changes I am? Anyways, the result of this new union is that Big Cass will face Big Show at SummerSlam, with Enzo Amore suspended above the ring in a shark cage. Ooh, should be exciting. On SmackDown Live, they swerved us, of course, and instead of John Cena taking on Calgary's Jinder Mahal, Shinsuke Nakamura won the match against Cena to earn the honor, leaving John Cena to face Baron Corbin. Surprisingly, however, on the go-home show, after John Cena hit a super attitude adjustment in the main event against Jinder Mahal, was about to win the championship against him, Baron Corbin came in and attacked Cena to break up the match. Baron Corbin then proceeded to cash in his money in the bank while Jinder Mahal was out and prepare to win the title. However, before attacking Jinder, after the bell rang, Corbin decided to take out John Cena, who had climbed up onto the apron to antagonize him, and while he was doing that, Jinder Mahal rolled up Baron Corbin for a 3-count victory, causing Corbin to become only the 3rd Money in the Bank winner in history, along with John Cena and Damien Sandow, to fail to win the championship when cashing in. So essentially, not only did Baron Corbin cause the man he was about to face at SummerSlam to not be champion heading into the match, but he also wasted his one other chance to win the title in a failed cash-in. It seems like Baron Corbin was the dumbest Money in the Bank winner in history, costing himself 2 chances at the WWE Championship in one foul swoop. Also, of course, SmackDown Live set up AJ Styles defending the United States title against Kevin Owens with Shane McMahon as a special guest referee, the New Day defending the SmackDown Tag Team title against the Usos, and Calgary's own Natalya Neidhart going after the SmackDown Women's Championship against Naomi at SummerSlam. A very crazy week in the WWE, though, when you factor in the failed Money in the Bank cash-in by Baron Corbin before SummerSlam. Anyways, without any further ado, we now move on to the Cruiserweight action from the past few weeks. First off, on main event on August 4th, we had Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik versus Drew Gulak and the Brian Kendrick. What can I say about this match? Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik are so fun to watch together. It wasn't completely a squash match, but the two luchadors made Gulak and Kendrick look like a couple of clowns. They're even starting to do stereo moonsaults from the same top ring post to set up their final body press for the victory. Did I mention this match was fun? So much high-flying action from Dorado and Metalik, that must really piss off Drew Gulak. Then on Raw from August 7th, we start off with a backstage segment of Titus Worldwide having some fun celebrating their union. They're interrupted by Neville, who comes out to taunt them and psych them out before Tozawa faces Daivari again in a meaningless match after Tozawa won the #1 contendership against Daivari last week. Then we have Akira Tozawa versus Arya Daivari with Titus O'Neil at the commentary desk. So it's pretty much a glorified squash match, trying to give Akira Tozawa some more momentum going into his title match. For a guy wanting revenge, Arya Daivari didn't do all that much in this match and didn't seem to have much of a vicious streak. They did mention Tozawa's injured shoulder, but they were barely attempting to sell it at all this week. He looked almost in perfect health heading towards SummerSlam. As per usual, Tozawa does a high-speed suicide dive during the match, and wins in the end with a senton bomb from the top turnbuckle. A pretty plain match all in all. Then we have the 205 Live from August 8th. All the pre-show hype is the events leading into the rival match between TJP and Rich Swann, which is the show's main event. Then we start off with the premier athlete Tony Nese versus Cedric Alexander. Much of the early part of this match was dedicated to Tony Nese showing off his body for the Toronto crowd, and particularly his 8-pack abs, which is becoming his dominant character persona as of late. The match itself was a pretty decent back-and-forth match. Tony Nese had a chance to put Cedric Alexander in the Tree of Woe and do his leg extension exercises on him. Cedric did all the usual high-flying moves, including his moonsault onto Nese outside of the ring and his top rope clothesline. Near the end of the match, Alexander goes for a handspring attack, but Nese catches him. Tony Nese rolls him into a leverage pin, but Cedric reverses it into a pin of his own at 2. The two roll into several pins each before Nese finally gets the better of Alexander, grabbing a solid handful of trunks on the final roll, this time getting a surprising 3 count. This is a surprising victory for Tony Nese, leading to a follow-up encounter involving these two men on 205 Live next week. Of course, Tony Nese has to take a moment to grab the mic, gloat, and taunt Cedric Alexander and the Toronto crowd before exiting the ring. Then we go to a backstage segment with Dasha interviewing the Brian Kendrick, in which Kendrick continues to refer to Jack Gallagher as a clown and gloats over beating Gallagher by disqualification last week. Of course, this segment is interrupted by Jack Gallagher, who attacks Kendrick and silently beats the crap out of him, sending him running for his life yet again. Then we have the Scottish Supernova, Noam Dar versus Mark Thomas. Noam Dar is back in the ring for the first time in weeks in a squash match against the old veteran Mark Thomas. Noam Dar starts off on the mic in a strange way, building up Mark Thomas before tearing him down. Dar cuts a promo saying how he remembers Thomas from when he was a kid. He asks if he's still trying to make it in the business and reminds everybody how he's only 24 and he's already a WWE superstar. Then he squashes the heck out of him for the most part. Obviously, he finishes off the match with his theatrical Supernova kick. Then we have a segment that they had advertised earlier, Corey Graves interviewing Akira Tozawa before his title match against Neville, which was still supposed to be at SummerSlam at this point. Some of the crowd actually greets Tozawa with a welcome chant. Of course, it's not much of an interview, as it's immediately interrupted by Neville. He comes out reminding Graves that 205 Live is his show, and that he should be interviewing him instead of Tozawa. Of course, while Neville is talking, behind him Tozawa throws his chair away, takes off his suit jacket, and gets ready for a fight. Tozawa grabs the mic and says he has a question for Neville. Neville insults Tozawa's English, but asks him what his question is. Tozawa's question is, how you gonna feel when I beat you for your title at SummerSlam? Neville is taken back, but looks like he's ready to hit Tozawa. But Tozawa hits him first and drives Neville from the ring. Neville tries to attack him, but Tozawa drives him from the ring yet again. Neville then gives up and leaves the ring area while Tozawa grabs the Cruiserweight title and holds it up for the audience as the segment ends. Then we have the main event, TJP versus Rich Swann in some friendly competition. Of course, we get TJP's usual video game entrance and Rich Swann's Quagmire look, giggity giggity goo entrance with his ooh, can you handle this? Can you handle this? Can you handle this? This is a pretty good cruiserweight match with lots of flippity-floppity flues, some good back-and-forth one-upsmanship, and a submission attempt from TJP, as is his specialty. If you like good close back-and-forth cruiserweight matches, this is a good one to go back and watch. Anyways, the match ends with a back-and-forth flurry, ending with TJP dropping the back of Rich Swann's neck on the turnbuckle and hitting his detonation kick while Swann is woozy and gets an easy 3 count. After the match, though, TJP totally rubs his victory in Swann's face repeatedly, acting like a real casshole. Then Rich Swann gets pissed off and walks off in a huff. TJP runs after Swann, asking him if he's a sore loser. Rich Swann says he's upset that TJP acts like his friend, but then acts like he did after the victory. TJP says, "Come on, man, you know I was just joking. I was just messing around. I thought you could handle this. Huh? You know, we're still friends. You know who I am." Rich Swann replies, "I'm starting to know who you really are." Then he walks off as the show ends. Drama as 205 Live goes off the air. Then last week, leading into SummerSlam, things went kind of crazy. First off, there was no Cruiserweight match on WWE Main Event, so we go right into Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw, August 14th. We have Akira Tozawa versus Neville in the Cruiserweight Championship match. Now, for some reason, out of the blue, WWE decides to give away the Cruiserweight Championship match on Monday Night Raw for free ahead of SummerSlam. This pretty much surprised everybody. This being the only Cruiserweight match on Raw was pretty much the highlight of the week, however. So it's probably the match we should have gotten at SummerSlam, and that they obviously were not planning to give us on any part of the show other than the kickoff show. It's an important title match for the Cruiserweight division, so if you missed it, you're going to want to go back and watch this Raw to see the match. Of course, Neville plays the role of the arrogant, overconfident champion, while Akira Tozawa plays the role of the fan-favorite underdog, and for the most part, he had the Boston crowd behind him. Once Tozawa really gets going, he gets the crowd somewhat excited when he hits 2 suicide dives in a row, bouncing up and down in between to show the fans that he was gaining momentum. Tozawa continues to be fired up and goes for a senton bomb, but Neville stops him and superplexes him from the top turnbuckle. Then the two battle back and forth for a bit more, and then Neville puts Tozawa down, driving the back of his neck into the turnbuckle. A tactic that seems to be common in many cruiserweight matches these days, and then he goes to the top rope for his red arrow. However, Neville misses terribly, and then Tozawa goes to the top turnbuckle himself and hits his flying senton bomb and then pins Neville. 1, 2, 3, and we got a new Cruiserweight champion, Akira Tozawa! So it's quite the surprise trying to shake things up in the Cruiserweight division in the Raw SummerSlam Go-Home show. Later on, they advertise there will be Akira Tozawa Championship Celebration on 205 Live. And now, finally, last week's 205 Live. Of course, the show before the show recaps the big championship victory of Akira Tozawa over Neville from Raw. Then we have, to open the show, Cedric Alexander and Grand Metalik versus Tony Nese and Drew Gulak. So this tag team match is an interesting combination of Alexander and Metalik, as Cedric Alexander attempts to get revenge on Tony Nese for beating him and gloating last week. Tony Nese, of course, comes in bragging and showing off his body and his 8-pack once again in the true narcissistic fashion of his new persona. Then Gulak comes out and narrates the situation for the fans who are unclear about the origins of the match. Gulak has toned down his cruiserweight crusade against high-flying considerably since his loss in the feud against Mustafa Ali, however. Grand Metalik starts off getting the fans excited by putting on a show, bouncing off the ropes, twisting, turning, and driving Drew Gulak several times into the mat in true luchador style. Gulak recovers and makes the tag to Tony Nese. However, shortly after, Metalik walks on the top rope and hits a dramatic moonsault onto Nese outside the ring, getting a nice gasp from the crowd, followed by Cedric Alexander vaulting from the ropes on Drew Gulak. Quite an exciting start to this match. The heels then recover and work over Metalik for a few moments, but a huge Hurricane-Rama from Metalik allows him to make a hot tag to Cedric Alexander. Alexander comes in and beats the crap out of Gulak and takes out Nese trying to interfere too. Cedric even manages to go for his flying clothesline, but Gulak stops him in his tracks. However, Alexander still gets the better of Gulak, as Gulak tries to push Alexander into the ropes for momentum, leading into a German suplex. However, Cedric grabs the ropes, hits Gulak with an elbow, followed by an enziguri, and then goes for the pin. Nice then breaks up the pin, takes down Alexander, taunting him in the process, throws Grand Metalik out of the ring, and looks like he may lead to a heel victory. However, Cedric Alexander has recovered at this point, and hits Nice with his flying clothesline off the top turnbuckle, sending him from the ring. Gulak then tries to roll over Cedric Alexander from behind into a leverage pin, but Cedric says no at the 2 count. Alexander then hits his lumbar check and pins Gulak for the 3 count to win the match. Whew, that was quite an exciting opener at 205 Live. Cedric Alexander and Grand Metalik get a bit of revenge against Tony Nese and Drew Gulak for recent defeats. Then they flash to a short backstage segment with Lindsay Dorado, Noam Dar, and Arya Daivari talking about Neville and his recent loss. While they're talking, they are suddenly silenced as Neville comes in coldly. He looks with an evil stare at each of the 3, and each of them walk off in turn. Neville then picks up a chair, screams, and throws that chair as the segment ends. Before they break, they show a quick scene of Titus O'Neil on the phone, cutting a fake on-phone promo that you can only barely make out words such as, and Titus Worldwide as the music plays leading into the break. After the break, we have the Brian Kendrick versus Mustafa Ali. Then the Brian Kendrick comes out, all paranoid and looking under the ring and such, making sure Jack Gallagher is not hiding, waiting to ambush him again. Corey Graves even says that he's not surprised that Kendrick is paranoid, as he has Gentleman Jack the Ripper after him. Great line from Corey Graves. This actually is a pretty interesting match for such a short one. Mustafa Ali looks impressive early on, and floors Kendrick in the corner to go for his Phoenix Splash, but Kendrick takes his legs out from under him, causing Ali to fall face first under the turnbuckle. Did I mention this happens to be a tactic used a lot in Cruiserweight Division matches lately? Anyways, after this, Kendrick takes over. He almost gets Ali to tap out to the captain's hook, but Ali finally manages to get to the rope and break the hold. However, Kendrick then sends Ali out of the ring with a vicious running boot. He then throws Ali hard into the side of the ring and then rams his head viciously into the steel steps. He then locks Ali's foot into a hole in the steel steps and goes back to attack Ali's leg, attempting to take out his frustration on him. And then the fight begins. Jack Gallagher comes out of nowhere to attack Kendrick from behind again. Gallagher hits Kendrick repeatedly, throws him into the ring, and starts beating the crap out of him, forcing Lee Brian Kendrick to run for his life yet again into the crowd. Then they go to a segment of Dasha interviewing Rich Swann, who is supposed to be about to face TJP again, asking how it would feel for him to come out victorious in the rubber match of this 3-match series. However, Arya Daivari comes out and says that TJP is out with an injury and that he is in instead. He tells Rich Swann he'd better stop worrying about his friend TJP and start worrying about him. We then have Arya Daivari versus Rich Swann with Arya Daivari in place of the injured TJP. Of course, we get another Rich Swann entrance, which is a cross between Gitchy, Ya, Gaga, and Giggity, Giggity, Goo. Rich Swann dances and twists his way to a pretty good match against Daivari. Rich Swann looks like he's going to pick up a victory when Daivari misses an attack from the top turnbuckle, and then Swann floors him with a vicious high kick. However, Rich Swann goes to the top turnbuckle to finish Daivari off with his Phoenix Splash, and then the music comes on, and out comes TJP on crutches to distract him. As Swann looks at TJP, Daivari knocks Swann off the top turnbuckle and hits his hammerlock lariat, pinning him for the victory. After the loss, Rich Swann stares up from the mat at TJP sadly, almost as if thinking, "Why do you keep doing this for me, you—" Wait for it. Castle! And then they fade to a scene of the Brian Kendrick trying to flee for his life, looking over his shoulder. Dasha tries to stop him for an interview, but Kendrick says, I don't have time to talk, Dasha. Every time I let my guard down, that deranged clown, Jack Gallagher, finds a way to strike. I can't do this anymore, Dasha. I can't do this anymore. This has to stop. He then, in his feeble state, comes up with an idea. He's a coward, and he won't meet me in the main event and do things my way. Maybe I can do things Jack's way. Maybe if I challenge him to a duel, Dasha, he'll have some kind of honor, and he'll meet me next week on 205 Live to a duel. Kendrick then runs off and puts his idea into place. Well, you might almost think he's a man with a plan. As they go to the break, they show Titus O'Neil dancing with some white guy, but then the white guy tries to dance too. Titus realizes, man, white guys can't dance, and then pats the guy to get him to stop and walks off, leading into the break. Then, to wrap up this entertaining 205 Live, we have the Akira Tozawa and Titus Worldwide Championship Victory Celebration. Titus O'Neil comes out and introduces Tozawa. Tozawa comes out, and Titus reminds the audience that he made Neville's title reign go, how you say in Japanese? Bye-bye? Bye-bye? Then while Tozawa is talking to the crowd, saying how this has been his dream for so long, Neville opens up a bottle of champagne and splashes both of them, shocking Tozawa and forcing him to say, "Easy, easy." Titus then thanks Tozawa for sticking with his dream, which others said was crazy, and making his own dream of starting Titus Worldwide, which others also said was crazy, come true. He then says it's time to celebrate, Titus Worldwide style, and him and Tozawa start to move while Titus chants, "Hey, hey, 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 hey." However, after a few seconds, we have enough of the hey, 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 and it's time for a little oi, oi, oi! Neville comes out cutting a promo about how he brought honor and prestige to the Cruiserweight Championship, and in one day Akira Tozawa and Titus O'Neil destroyed it. However, he says that Tozawa should enjoy the title, because at SummerSlam it will be his demise. Titus then says that he knows what Neville's trying to do, but that his client dictates terms as champion, and that they'll have to wait till SummerSlam to fight. Which is what I thought that Neville had just said. But anyways, while Titus is talking, Neville tries to attack, but Tozawa drop kicks him to the ground before he can get into the ring. Tozawa then takes off his jacket and goes outside the ring to face Neville. Neville tries to throw Tozawa into the barricade, but Tozawa reverses it, throwing Neville into the barricade, and then Tozawa hurls Neville into yet another barricade. Then Neville goes into the ring, and Tozawa joins him, and the two exchange blows. Neville throws Tozawa into the ropes and charges, but Tozawa flips Neville over the top rope to the outside ring area. Tozawa then hits Neville with one final suicide dive. By this point, Neville is done, and Tozawa goes into the ring and holds up the title. Titus puts Tozawa up on his shoulders, holding the title, and Neville and Tozawa stare each other down as Tozawa does one final for the crowd as a very entertaining 205 Live goes off the air. And finally, a crazy couple of weeks of Cruiserweight action comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed my recount, because as C-3PO says in Return of the Jedi, I'm afraid I'm not very good at telling stories. Anyways, you've been listening to the pre-SummerSlam edition of Jobbing Out with Daniel Jobber, 205 Live, and WWE Cruiserweight Report on the Edmonton Sports Podcast Network. Once again, this is the Edmonton area's own D-Job, Daniel Jobber, self-proclaimed Duke of the Cruiserweights. Of course, you can follow me at Twitter at Daniel Jobber, capital D, capital J, and on Instagram under Daniel Jobber, all lowercase letters. You can check out my YouTube channel under Daniel Jobber, and make sure you go to my website, danimaldanieljobber.ca, and check out all my cool stuff that I have on my Pride and Joy, my official website. I also hope you'll follow the Edmonton Sports Podcast Network and Mike the Ref for such great shows as Mike the Ref's The Blown Call and Quick Calls. Great local wrestling action of CWC Evolution with Mike the Ref's awesome commentary, and of course the Sound of Struggle podcast with Chris Parrish and Maniac. You can check us out on YouTube, Google Play Music, iTunes, and the amazing cellular app Podbean. Of course, you can also follow the Edmonton Sports Podcast Network on Twitter at Edmonton SPN, capital E in Edmonton, capital S, capital P, capital N. And of course, follow Mike the Ref on Instagram under Mike the Ref, EDM, all lowercase letters. Finally, I hope you will support me by purchasing the Jobber Champion official Danimal Daniel Jobber merchandise, which you can pick up at whatamaneuver.net or on my official website, danimaldanieljobber.ca merchandise page. Of course, I have t-shirts and hoodies and shirts specially designed for women and children, and even baby onesies. And of course, the logo on them, and I want to make this perfectly clear, is not, and never has been, a poopy face. Of course, you can pick up all your other Edmonton Sports Podcast Network merchandise on whatamaneuver.net as well, and I hope you do, because heck, we're so darn entertaining. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up. This has been another episode of Jobbing Out with Daniel Jobber, 205 Live and WWE Cruiserweight Report. Thanks for listening, and I will talk to you all in a few short days for next week's episode. Jobber out!
What's new, poopy face?
Not a poopy face!
Whoa.
My logo doesn't even look like that!
Whoa.
Not a poopy face! I'm not! It's not true! I'm not!
Poopy face,
I'm not a poopy face! Maybe they are nice t-shirts and hoodies, but that's not the point. I'm not a poopy face! Stop it! Stop it! Stole it!
What's new, poopy face? Whoa.
Oh, come on!
What's new, poopy face? Whoa. Time to do the job! Behold the jobber of jobbers, Daniel Jobber.